Yes, welcome class for today's presentation. And today we are going to look at our topic 4, and that is outsourcing. Oh, my name is Mr. America Ivan, and I'm going to take you through our presentation for today. So let's look at outsourcing. And if you hear the word outsourcing, what does it mean, or what comes in your mind? So outsourcing, in outsourcing, a company typically hires another company or service providers, either domestically or internationally, to handle specific functions. These functions can include customer support, IT services, or manufacturing, accounting, human resource, and many more, like catering services and cleaning services. So the external service providers is responsible for delivering the agreed upon services according to the terms of the outsourcing contract. So when the company is sourcing other services from outside or external suppliers or service providers, there are terms and conditions that they set forward, which help the two to perform. For example, the the other company that is contracted to provide services will perform to its obligation in the terms that are specified forward. Therefore, outsourcing is a business practice where organizations delegate specific tasks, functions, or processes to external service providers. So, in outsourcing, companies outsource non-core activities, the activities that we call support activities like IT, like or cleaning services or catering services like providing food meals for the organization. And these activities that we feel like if the organization involves in producing for themselves may be time consuming and costly than getting an external provider who will provide this arrange these services, and the organization will or the company will just get already finished item or good or service. So it involves partnering with third-party companies, often located domestically or internationally, to handle various aspects of operations. So here is an overview of outsourcing. Yes. So what is outsourcing, or the definition of outsourcing? Outsourcing refers to the practice of delegating certain tasks, processes, or services to external parties or organizations instead of handling them in-house. So basically, outsourcing might look as the same as procurement, but with their different terms. So outsourcing is when you identify that there is a need of getting an external or service provider. And now after identifying that need, then you need to go through the normal procurement process of acquiring these services for the organization. So it is a common business strategy used by companies to optimize their operations, to reduce cost and focus on their core competencies. So if organization contracts an external supplier to provide in some services like providing in or catering services, then it means that the organization will concentrate on their core activities or what the organization like Risto Institute, which is involved in teaching and giving educating, providing educational materials. So instead of spending more time and money and getting some more employees on cleaning services, Risto Institute can just outsource a company that is capable of providing cleaning services to the organization, and this one will save time for the organization, and that external company will be responsible for cleaning. So Risto will just focus on their operations of teaching and getting other things done with other external providers. So that is the essence of outsourcing. So there are various types of outsourcing arrangements, and this may include one or business process outsourcing. In business process outsourcing, it involves outsourcing entire business processes such as payroll, customer service, or supply chain management. The supply chain management, we mean managing, organizing, and controlling the flow of goods, services, information of a product from its original state through its production process up to the final user. So, under outsourcing, a company an organization can recruit an external service provider to help in managing this process. Payroll, I can see other organizations in South Sudan here, they advertise for tenders of organization to apply, and their main work is to dispatch money or salaries to their employees who are in the remote areas or who are in the field areas. So this is another type of outsourcing arrangement. Then another type of outsourcing arrangement is information technology outsourcing. This focuses on outsourcing IT related functions like software development, infrastructure management, or data center operations. Many organizations outsource IT companies to provide them with internet services, to provide them develop for them and various softwares related to their organizational functions, and also to manage their IT instruments or machines that are available in the center, even protecting the data. So there are other companies which their work is to protect data online. For example, we have the Google also people can keep their data on Google. Then iCloud also, Dropbox. All these are companies which can help manage data or store data, develop softwares for organizations. So these are kind of external suppliers who can manage or develop softwares for organizations. Then we also have another type of outsourcing arrangement, and that is knowledge processing outsourcing. Knowledge processing outsourcing involves outsourcing knowledge intensive tasks like research or researchers, then data analysis or consultancy services. Other organizations want to advertise for tenders or for review projects, looking they are seeking for competent and interested or external consultant who can evaluate their progress of the project. So this is the kind of outsourcing that is involved under knowledge processing. Then we also have manufacturing outsourcing. Manufacturing outsourcing refers to outsourcing the production of goods to external manufacturers, often in different countries with cost advantages. Production outsourcing might be an example of offshore, where production of goods is done from another country, then they just import the goods, they just transfer the goods to where they are meant to be, or to their original country. An example of that might be, or can be recently, I heard that Nile as a company here in South Sudan doesn't have its plant, it has just warehouses. So what they do, they manufacture these goods from Uganda, from Nile breweries Uganda, then they transfer the already manufactured goods to South Sudan. So that is another manufacturing process. Then also offshoring. Offshoring occurs when a company outsources its operation or services to another country, often to take advantage of lower labor costs. So manufacturing and offshoring, they almost looks the same, but for offshoring, uh, the company outsources its services to another company that offers low cost, and for them they just transfer the already processed goods. So, what are the reasons for outsourcing? There are very many reasons that make organizations or companies to outsource services. So, companies and organizations outsource for several reasons, including one, cost reduction. Outsourcing can help reduce operational costs by taking advantage of lower labor and production costs in other countries. Other countries can be very expensive, as in to operational cost or lack of the raw materials that is in that country can lead to high labor and production costs. So outsourcing other services can help lower the cost of production. So the reason for outsourcing is to reduce the cost of production and labor. An example can also be in South Sudan. If you compare South Sudan and Uganda, every material that all the goods that we are consuming here in South Sudan, and even services that we consuming here in South Sudan, are imported from Uganda, Kenya, and the neighboring countries. So why these other companies are outsourcing? Because of the high cost of labor that is in South Sudan. Also, access to expertise. Outsourcing allows companies to access specialized skills and expertise that may not be available internally. Yes, other companies need to get qualified and experienced employees or skills from for a particular activity. So by outsourcing, it's when you can get access to these skills, these experienced people, and the services that you get will be of high quality as the organization requires high quality both in performance and in goods that are provided. So reason for outsourcing, also another reason can be focus on core competencies. So by outsourcing non-core activities, it can give room for the organization or the company to focus and put their effort on the core business activities of the organization or the company, or than employing a lot of employees who will end up making who will end up bringing a lot of expense to the organization. Yet when these other activities were outsourced or were given to an external supplier, this could reduce the cost as stated earlier. So another reason of outsourcing is to increase efficiency. Efficiency literally can mean doing things right. So external service providers often have dedicated resources, technologies, and processes that can enhance efficiency and productivity. So these external suppliers outside there, they have experiences of, because if you want a cleaning, you want to contract a cleaning company, or let me say a catering company that is responsible for providing meals, that is lunch and supper, breakfast and lunch for the organization, you will look for an organization which is already dealing in this area of operation, which is already having a, you will be dealing with restaurants and what. So it means that these people have resources, they have the technology that is required to produce uh, what is expected from them. So it means this one will increase efficiency in the organization. Uh, all the employees will be on their work doing their core activities as other things are going on. For example, if the lunchtime comes, there's no wasting time like to go and looking for lunch, or maybe other doing other things. So external service providers often have that potential to enhance the efficiency and productivity of the organization. Then scalability and flexibility. Outsourcing enables companies to scale. Scalability means uh, the capacity to change, or being flexible, the capacity to change or to change in size or the scale. So it means that outsourcing enables companies to scale their operations quickly or adjust capacity based on business needs. So because if the organization requires a specific services, they can be easily or, or achieved because they will just advertise and outsource that service immediately. So it means that outsourcing helps the organization to be flexible and scalable, that is easily to change in size or value. So basically those are the few reasons of outsourcing, and let's look at outsourcing strategy development. Yes, when you want to outsource, you need to have a strategy of how you're going to handle the whole process. And developing an outsourcing strategy involves carefully planning and consideration of various factors. So here are key steps to guide you in the process of developing an outsourcing strategy. So one, you define objectives. You start by clarifying the objectives and goals you aim to achieve through outsourcing. You determine the specific reason why you are considering outsourcing, such as the cost reduction, access to expertise, scalability, or improve the efficiency. So these reasons will help you to achieve or will help you to select the potential supplier or the potential source which will make the organization or the company achieve its objectives or its goals. So clear objectives will help shape the rest of your outsourcing strategy. So another step is assess potential functions or processes. So you need to identify the functions or processes within the organization that are suitable for outsourcing. So after defining the objectives of outsourcing, you assess the processes that needs outsourcing. The processes that I talked about, you the catering services, cleaning services, because I know these are non-core activities. And if an organization, for example, like UNHCR wants to start employing their own employees for that service, and these people they need health insurance, they need to be offered transport per day. A lot of they need to be spent on the same feeding. Okay, if you're like taking it or the activity of cleaning the premises, it means that you end up spending a lot of money on this activity or this function of cleaning. So outsourcing it is more important. So you need to assess the potential functions where you need to to outsource. So you need to consider non-core activities that can be effectively performed by external vendors without compromising your core competencies. So you give these activities to the external vendors, and you know that this they will perform it very well, and they doesn't need more explanation and training for them. Then you need to consider what we call cost benefit analysis. You conduct a thorough cost benefit analysis for each function or process you are considering outsourcing. Assess the potential cost, saving, expected quality improvements, assess access to specialized skills and other benefits against the associated risks such as the data security, quality control, or loss of control. So under cost benefit analysis, you need to look at the advantages and the disadvantages that are surrounding a, this function that you want to outsource. I talked about the cleaning services where I looked at the cost that will be associated in when we need to employ people specifically for cleaning. Okay, and you look at the advantages. If you outsource, what are you going to gain from this outsourcing? The reduced cost, time, management, a lot of things. So you need to do a cost benefit analysis where you looked at the costs that are associated in and the risk basically these are the uncertainties that may happen or the bad side of it. Yes. So after assessing the cost benefit, then you need to look at the vendor selection. You need to select the vendors. So identify and evaluate potential outsourcing vendors, conduct market research, solicit proposals, and assess vendors based on factors such as their expertise, track record, capabilities, financial stability, cultural fit, and differences. So this is now where procurement comes in, because you need to source for the potential external provider or external vendor who will provide these services that you have decided to outsource. So you look at the factors, for example, their expertise in the field, their track record, their past performance, the capabilities. Are they capable? You need to look at that. The key indicators of their capabilities. The financial stability is the key, because if they end up oh, not performing, or because of financial instability, then it means that they are going to cause inconsistencies and inefficiencies in the organization. So you need to look at their financial stability such that they are fit to manage the contract. The contract might be for 5 years, 3 years. So you need to make sure that these people live for those 5 years. Because if they don't stay for those 5 years, it means that there will be no work on your side, bringing inconsistencies. Then another point, now after selecting the vendor, it's now to contract negotiation. Once You have selected a vendor, negotiate and finalize a contract that clearly defines the scope of work or the performance expectations, service level agreement, these are for services, then pricing, data security measures, because now you're going to share information, you're going to share data between the organization and the external organization or the vendor. Then the termination clauses, how this contract will be managed, and dispute resolution processes. If there are problems, how are we going to handle this dispute? How are we going to settle our problems between the organization and the vendor? So it is crucial to ensure that the contract includes provisions for ongoing performance monitoring and review. So all these negotiations should be included in the contract. How are they going to have the reviews on performance and the contact person or the team for monitoring purposes? Then transition planning. Transition planning, now you need to develop a comprehensive transition plan to smoothly transfer the functions or the processes to the outsourcing vendor. So this is now handing over the works or the information. If it's data management that you want to outsource another external company to manage your data, the organization to keep the data to store it, then it means you need now to hand over these logins, details, their passwords, and everything to the external provider. So this plan should include detailed timelines, roles and responsibilities, communication protocols, knowledge transfer processes, and any required training or documentation. So, as I said, if it needs passwords, if you need to training them on how to log in, communication, how they are going to communicate within these two organizations, the contact person. Each person, his roles and responsibilities are clearly stated. So this is, and the timelines of how these activities are going to be undertaken should be made smoothly. So you need to establish governance and communication. So you define governance mechanism and communication channels to effectively manage the outsourcing relationship. So you need to set up a committee that will oversee uh, this relationship or this activity between this organization. Then even the organizations or companies usually have departments that are responsible for collaborations, outsourcing that department. So you establish regular performance review meetings, key performance indicators, and reporting requirements. So this governance committee will also conduct review meetings to evaluate the performance of the vendor. Then we have risk management. You need to identify potential risks associated with outsourcing and develop risk mitigation strategies. Establish contingency plans, that is, plans that can look up to for uncertainties that can come across. to address issues such as service interruptions. If there are interruption in the service, we should have such plans. These contingency plans, we can call it plan B. If plan A try to fail or does not provide at a specific period, what do you do? That is the function of the contingency plans. So you need to address these such plans for risk that may develop in, for example, service interruptions coming in from the side of the vendor non-compliance. Also, if the vendor tries to mismanage delivery time or delivery date, what do you do? Data breaches. This one now questions the confidentiality of the organization. If they try to leak the data of the organizations to none to another third party, which is not which is prohibited. So this one also needs to be put in across by the contracting organization. So continuously monitor risks and performance and be prepared to adapt your strategy as needed. So you need to continuously monitor the risks that may arise. So monitor and evaluate, regularly monitor and evaluate the performance of the outsourcing vendor against the defined key performance indicators and the service level agreements. You need to monitor the vendor whether the key performance indicators stated at a specified period of time are achieved or the certain level of service is achieved at the specified period of time as required. You need to conduct periodic reviews to assess the effectiveness of the outsourcing strategy in achieving your objectives. So if the vendor is performing according to its stated levels, then you need to now review the outsourcing strategy whether the organization is achieving its objectives generally, because everything is done the way it's supposed to be done. So is it the strategy that can take the organization achieve its objectives? Then this is how the process is done, the strategic process. So through this process, you have to have also continuous improvement. You need to strive for continuous improvement by fostering a culture of collaboration and innovation with the outsourcing vendor. You need to continuously, if there is need to improve on the services of the vendor that you outsource, you need to nurture it. You need to build it with that organization or that vendor. You need to encourage feedback, explore opportunities for process optimization, and drive joint initiatives to enhance efficiency and quality and value. So you need to collaborate with this vendor and keep on improving the services, keep on improving on the activities and the processes that are involved in this agreement or in this contract. So in conclusion, you need to remember that each organization's sourcing strategies will be unique and it should align with the organization's specific business goals, industry dynamics, and internal capabilities. So you need to regularly review and refine your outsourcing strategy to ensure it remains aligned with your evolving business needs and market conditions. So because the market conditions change every day and even the business needs change every day, so you need also to be reviewing the outsourcing strategy to ensure that they align with these needs and the market conditions. Yes. So we need to talk about the risks associated with outsourcing. Outsourcing can involve certain risks and challenges that organizations should be aware of. So here are some common risks associated with outsourcing. One is quality and service delivery risk. When outsourcing critical functions, there is a risk that the external service provider may not meet the desired quality standards or deliver services as expected. So issues such as delays or inadequate support can impact operations and customer satisfaction. So it is crucial to establish clear quality control measures and regular performance monitoring to mitigate this risk. So, the first risk that can be associated here is quality and service level risk. You may not be sure whether this service provider will keep on providing the same quality of or the same desired quality standard by your organization or the company. So it is very crucial that the organization or the company should come up with clear quality measures that they will depend on to keep checking on the performance of the service or the outsourced organization or company. So every organization has its quality control policy or quality control measures that helps in guiding all the goods or services that are outsourced. Then data security and confidentiality risk. Outsourcing often involves sharing sensitive and confidential data with external vendors. Because now if I contract an IT department, an IT service provider to come and provide maybe internet services, to come and manage my IT services or department. It means that I'm sharing my sensitive data or the organization data with the vendors. So this is another risk. So companies must ensure that appropriate data security measures, including data encryption. Encryption means that is converting uh, information into images, and maybe that is another way of securing this information from hackers or other people who may steal who may steal data, organizations data. So data encryption is another way of locking it such that it cannot be easily read by other sources. So access controls, you need to limit the controls. Okay, you need to limit the access to other informations. That's why you introduce in passwords, creating passwords such that you limit the control or you limit the entry to other informations by other people. So specific, or for example, the vendors, you give them specific layer where they need to have access to, then the others you don't give access like that. And you also have to come up with non-disclosure agreements. So uh, during the contract negotiations, you can negotiate these non-disclosure agreements and put it in place so that If the company discloses your information to other third party, then it means that they will be accountable for that. And if it is known, this can be taken seriously by the organization to not disclose information because of the non-disclosure agreement. So failure to adequately promote confidential information can lead to data breaches, resulting to reputational damage and legal implications. Yes. So another risk associated with outsourcing is loss of control and dependency risk. So by outsourcing certain functions, organization relinquish means they surrender. They lose control over those processes. They surrender those processes to the external vendors. So it means that if you surrender, it means that you have lost control on that. So this loss of control can create risk related to decision making, authority, and responsiveness. So companies must establish clear communication channels and maintain regular monitoring to mitigate this risk and ensure that outsourced functions align with the organization goals and standards. So if you lose control and you don't have authority on decision making and responsibility on that particular function that you have outsourced, then it means that you need to create clear communication channels to manage and monitor the performance of the activities involved clearly. So another point is communication and cultural differences. Communication challenges can arise when working with external service providers, especially when language barriers, time zone differences come into play. So miscommunication or misunderstandings can impact project timelines, deliverables, and overall collaborations. To address this risk, establishing effective communication channels, fostering cultural understanding, and ensuring clarity in expectations and instructions is crucial. So communication and cultural difference, miscommunication and misunderstandings between the organization and the vendor can be a risk to performance of, of the project. So effective communication channels can be put forth and cultural differences, for example, language barriers can make someone misinterpret other other information that is brought forward. So organization can look into that and understand very well and select the way of communication and the mode of communication between the two organizations. Then compliance and then regulatory risk. Outsourcing functions that involve compliance requirements such as legal, financial, or data privacy regulations introduces the risk of non-compliance. So companies need to ensure that the external service provider has the necessary expertise and controls in place to adhere to the relevant laws and regulations. So failure to comply can result in financial penalties, legal consequences, and reputational damage. So in the beginning, I said that when you are evaluating this vendor the potential vendor that you need to outsource, you need to look at very many factors. For example, their financial stand, the legal stand, because oh, if they they don't have the financial capacity. It means that by within a short period of time they may fail to provide the services, and this can bring to non-compliance to the agreement or to the contract and brings breaches in the contract, and also in the other side it also creates inefficiencies in the system and wastage of time in the organization. So this one also can damage the reputation of the organization. So it can lead now to legal consequences, the courts of law, and other things. So this one can cost the organization a lot of money because their time taken and the cost will increase. So another last point that we are going to talk about is vendor stability and reliability risk. So depending on external vendor means relying on their stability and reliability. If the vendor experiences financial instability, operational issues, or changes in ownership, it can disrupt service delivery and create uncertainty. So performing due diligence during vendor selection, assessing the vendor's financial health, reputation, and track record, and establishing contingency plans are important steps to mitigate this risk. So, because now the vendor, you have outsourced the vendor to take care of your catering services, to provide lunch and breakfast. It means that every time you're going to be relying on this vendor. You'll be relying on this vendor for breakfast. You cannot now buy a breakfast. You will wait for this vendor to supply because you already know the time. You will wait for this vendor to supply the lunch. So because if this vendor finds another some issues in the unforeseen future, maybe in a short period of time, this vendor will not provide in time the way it is. If it's financial instability, it means that they are going to try to fight hard to reduce that gap. So squeezing that gap for those finances can disrupt the services delivery in the organization, because the vendor can decide to reduce its employees. Then instead of supplying like over 10 employees in an organization, they will start to supply like six. And the kind of work that these 10 people would do is different from these six people. So this one can bring disruption in the service delivery. So performing due diligence. Due diligence is checking into or checking the vendor during the evaluation process to find out really what do they perform. So reasonable steps taken by a person in order to satisfy a legal requirement, especially in buying or selling something. So you need to take a reasonable function in checking this vendor before you go into contract with them. So basically that was our presentation for today on outsourcing, and our next topic will be global sourcing. Thank you.